peace on earth. For me, this is a really exciting time. Not only is there a lot happening at Unity on Greenville and in the world, this is just such a beautiful celebration of life being born. The life being born as us. So these candles that we light each Sunday of Advent is nothing more than the life being lit in us. Such a beautiful time to remember. Beautiful time to seize and grasp these gifts and to claim them as our own, to claim them as the life we live, to claim them as the divinity that we already are. We just forget. We fall asleep on those long winter nights, and we forget who we are. Gosh, it's good to remember. It's good to remember that we are the light of hope. And, back in the 1800s and the early 1900s, Charles Fillmore said there is no better time than now. And we can say that in 2021. There is no better time than now to be the gift of hope to our world, to be that spark of something good, something to cling to, something to hang on to, something to move us forward, and to remember that every single one of us are part of that source of the divine. There is nothing that could ever separate us from one another. That thread of humanity brings us and knits us together as one. Just that ball that exploded into millions of ones that are us. So we can share that hope that through our divinity we can remember our oneness. We can remember that we are never ever separated from that source and all those names that we have for that source. It doesn't care what we call it. What that source cares about is that we honor it, that we remember it, that we lift it up, and that we carry it forward into the world. That's hope. It's not what I had planned to say. So there you have it, yeah. It's that beauty of life that comes right now in this time of Advent. It's not about the twinkling lights or the presents under the tree. Those are fun things, and there's nothing wrong with that fun part of Christmas. It's the 24/7 carols. I listened to 11 hours of carols on Sunday. It was fun. Didn't hear the same one twice. It was fabulous. Yes. It's that movement of all of these qualities that come forth in the birth of that Christ child, in the birth of each of us, that metaphor of it being born in all of us. It can happen every day. It should happen every day. We might not always wake up energized and tap dancing and joyful, but we can move into that when we remember that not only are we holding hope for ourselves in our lives, inspired by that divine, but we are also sharing hope with others. We are giving others hope. That person standing at the corner of what's that, Morningside? Mockingbird in Greenville, asking for our coins. Whether we give them their coins or a smile or just share a thought of love towards them. That gentle art of blessing. We pour hope towards them. Yes. So we live in this hopefulness, and there's this fabulous book called Intrinsic Hope, and it's written by a woman who just writes beautifully. Her name is Katie Brown. And she said, life is naturally hopeful. You know, when we're newborn babes, we're not heavily burdened with the woes of the world. Our biggest concern is being fed and being held and being cuddled. We're full of hope. And as we grow from that, we continue that hope. We learn not to be hopeful by the unfortunate experience of the world. By those things that bring sadness, we start to lose our hope. So how do we reignite hope so that we can be, so that we can pass it on? And there are some qualities to hope. Oh, we just lived one of them, gratitude. We can be grateful. Now, I don't know about you, but it's easy to be grateful when the world's going my way. I can say, thank you, all day long as it's going my way. And when it's not, what do I do then? I can cultivate that hopefulness with gratitude in pausing, taking in the moment, garnering the gift from it, because there is always a gift in every moment. It's the nature of life. Life is gift-giving. Life is a gift. Savoring that gift and moving into gratitude. Saying thank you, not sarcastically. Saying thank you, even if you don't understand the reason. We can cultivate hopefulness by being present. Oh, being present to this song we just heard was a beautiful experience. Being present means that we don't have one foot in the past, that stuff that happened to us, oh, poor us, and we don't have one foot in the future, anticipating, worrying, anxiety-filled over what might happen. It's being right here and now. And I will declare right now that the present moment is a wonderful moment. This very moment is wonderful, perfect in every way. And so is this one. And so is this one. And if we can go through our day, moment by moment, declaring it good and wonderful and perfect, we're living in the present. We're living aware of what's happening. We're living as an observer of life, our own life. We cannot help but be grateful. We cannot help but be hopeful when we live in the present. That doesn't mean that everything is always sunshine and roses, but when I have that unfortunate experience, maybe a doctor visit that doesn't go the way I had hoped it to go, I can say, I know that this is carrying me to something good, and I can be watchful and mindful and know how to use this experience for good to help somebody else along their journey. Which brings us to mindfulness. Being mindful in every moment helps us be hopeful. Being mindful, I'm feeling great joy right now. This is a great season of the year. I feel the joy of Christmas time. Savor that. Well, I'm feeling a little bit fatigued right now. That's feelings that come. And then we can decide what to do about that fatigue. We can soldier on and be grumpy with everybody who crosses our path because we're tired. Or we can say, I feel fatigue. I'm going to take a rest. I'm going to come back refreshed and renewed, and I'm going to carry out my day. We get to choose what we do, but we have to know what's moving in us to be able to choose well, to be able to choose from our highest consciousness, our divine nature, that spirit that moves as us, to move from the light in us. We have to know what's happening. Notice if I'm feeling angry, it's okay. Anger isn't a harmful feeling. We don't have to spew our anger on the whole world. We can just sit with it. I feel angry. And then it goes. Just like every other feeling. Being mindful allows us to move in ways that are purposeful, when we live mindful and we're present to what's happening in any given moment, we can stand for equality and inclusion where we see it absent. We can share from our bounty and our blessings when we see someone without. When we live mindfully and present, we can call ourselves first and call others to live their highest consciousness, their true self, their divinity, to live from the light that's inside them. But we call ourselves first. And when we live mindfully, we can live and bear witness to life. We can bear witness to the life that is in nature. All the pollinators, all the squirrels, all the animals, all the trees. We can live and bear witness to all of that. We can bear witness to one another. We can bear witness to the life that each other are living and the purposefulness of it. And when we live hopefully, we live from love. Because love stirs hope. I believe that the sole purpose of every being walking this planet is to love. It's our one and only purpose. And the greatest commandment tells us just that. To love God with all our heart and to love our neighbors as ourselves. It's all love. When we pour our love into that source, it is the law of circulation. When we pour out our love, it returns to us. It has to. It's a law. You want to test that law? Spend one whole day doing nothing but pouring love to the tree at the corner, to the person across the street, anyone who passes your way in the grocery store. Everything that you do in the course of the day, make it be of pouring out love. See what comes back to you. Yes, no surprise, it's love. So when we love our God, when we love one another, and when we love ourselves, we're fulfilling our purpose in life, and that is hope-inspiring. So this hope that we talk about on Advent, last week we talked about the gratitude tree, the grateful tree, and that it started as a seed, and that's what hope is. Hope is the seed for greater things. Hope is the seed for that abiding faith that we can create the foundation. The disciple that represents hope in faith is the disciple Peter. Because on this rock I'll build my church. Not on shifting sand, but on this rock. So faith is the rock, the foundation of everything that we are. From that foundation, we can grow and move in all directions. But we've got this foundation that we know is secure. We got this foundation that we know is not going anywhere. It's going to be here, whether I turn my back on it for a period of time or not. When I turn around again, there it is, faith, the foundation of all that is. So when I'm living hopeful, hope says, oh boy, I'd really like the weather to cooperate with my event. I've said that. But faith says, regardless of the weather, our event is a given success because there are going to be people that we love and care about all together. Yes, that's what faith says. Hope says, I wish I would get this job offer. I think I would really like this. It would be fun. But faith says, I know that the right and perfect job that fulfills me in every way is waiting for me right now. That's what faith says. And hope says, I would really like to have a clean bill of health. But faith says, I know that inside me is everything I need to navigate this journey. It leads me to my highest good and is an inspiration for other people who are experiencing something similar. That's what faith says. So this gratitude, this mindfulness, this being present, this lovingness, they all come together in a sense of hopefulness. So yesterday I was making the final leg of my journey back to Dallas from South Carolina. And my I got onto the highway, Route 55, traveling south, and my GPS said, exit. Well, I had never exited there before. I never went that way before. So I started arguing with the GPS. It was early. I hadn't yet finished my morning tea. And I said, that's not the way. I go like 15 miles or so before I exit. And then she said again, exit. So I argued more, and at the very final moment, I exited. Oh my goodness gracious. It had gotten down to 30 degrees the night before in Mississippi, and the entire scene was covered with thick white frost. It was beautiful. It led me through the Natchez Trail, which is about a 440-mile trail that connects Tennessee and Mississippi, and it's this beautiful trail with some rolling hills and fields, and it was all covered in beautiful white. So I was acutely present to what was in front of me. And I had to drive slowly because the speed limit was only 40 miles an hour. And I savored it for moments. And then all of a sudden I noticed how I was feeling this immense satisfaction and joyfulness in taking in this beautiful wintry scene. I started to feel enormous gratitude for not just that moment of driving that trail, but for all the moments of the chaos and noisiness of the Thanksgiving days just a few days earlier. I started feeling grateful for my family and this car that was a little bit noisy, but it was getting me where I needed to go, and just felt an enormous gratitude. And seeing that scene caused me to think, everything is going to be okay. In fact, everything is probably already okay. I just don't always see it. Everything in my community is going to work out to be okay. People are going to begin to recognize that we are here to take care of one another. We're here to look after one another and lift one another up. We're going to begin to see that in really big and powerful ways. Then I started feeling that hopefulness for the whole world, that we're going to be lifted from this experience of pandemic. We're going to be lifted from these experiences of wanting to be at war with one another. We're going to be lifted from the chaos and confusion. I didn't realize that was my lesson for today. I was caught by surprise when I reflected on that later in the day, and there it was. All the things that create and cause and grow hopefulness in us. The mindfulness to know what we feel, the being present to know what is happening, the gratitude for all that is, even the messiest of things. Grateful for that, because out of that chaos, out of that confusion comes order, purposeful order. So we create systems that are on purpose, not just random or accidental. The gratitude for all of that, and the love that pours when we bring all of these qualities together, when we practice them consciously, because they do not just happen on their own. Practice mindfulness for a week and notice where your thoughts go. Our human minds are hardwired to go negative, to think low thoughts. And we have to practice lifting them to those higher vibrations of love and joy, so that we can shift the energy of the world around us, so that we can shift our own energy when we get into one of those blue moments, those lulls, that we can consciously move in gratitude. It doesn't always happen on its own, but when we set the intention that we are going to be grateful no matter what happens in this day, something's going to show up, because that's life, but we remember our intention. We're gently reminded by Spirit of our intention, and we can live in gratitude. So let love be your guide. Let gratitude be your way. Let mindfulness and being present be your lifelong practice, so that you can grow that light of hope, so that it becomes strong and abiding faith. Now's the time to do that. Now, on this first Sunday of Advent, as we acknowledge and honor the gift of hope. So here we go. Left hand over your right arm, right hand over your left arm, and give yourself a squeeze. You've been loved and hugged by me. Namaste.